Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Monday Memo. And on today's short episode, I'd like to elaborate maybe on the idea where accounting and finance, when we make mistakes, is actually an opportunity to add value to our businesses. And this was quite a difficult episode for me to record because, like, my inbuilt accountant mind that always is seeking accuracy and completeness, is wrestling with maybe my more entrepreneurial senses when it comes to failure and mistakes being fundamental ingredients in successful businesses and the market mechanism overall. And then I was on a call yesterday with a senior finance leader from Europe, from continental Europe, and he was sharing a story with me of another CFO from a large multinational, and they were talking about how they might have to accept a bit more error in their operations so that they can learn how to move and progress in these times of ever-changing technology, digitization and finance business partnering, so they can actually be adding more value today and into the future. And I thought, well, isn't that really uplifting, audacious, but also in the same breath paradoxical? Because it's like in accounting and finance, we're obsessed with being accurate and complete. And if you think of the classic audit and management assertions that go in the financial statements, all the information, the transactions, the amounts are recorded correctly and without error. And the same transactions and events or that need to be disclosed have been disclosed. And then when you think about the mistakes that have been made by companies like Enron and WorldCom and Anglo-Irish Bank, and the lengths they've gone to hide such mistakes, when we do things like that, businesses are going to fail. So rather than make failure a bad thing, let's maybe look at failure and mistakes as a necessary, because when you think about market and economic cycles, there's always been, businesses that were once successful who now fail, and there's some new entrants and upstarts that will succeed. Likewise, economies and countries, they will fail and they'll recover. Markets will suffer periods of boom and bust. And some of the best and most important discoveries that we've seen in humankind have been a result of serendipitous accidents and mistakes. Think penicillin, nylon, microwave, x-rays, and so on. And then if you even maybe go to our own personal level and think of your greatest accomplishments, did they perhaps come after a period of mistakes? Or when you, like myself, were new to the profession or on a training contract, did you get everything perfect all of the time? Did you make mistakes and errors that ultimately made you better at your job? And I have one book that encapsulates where I'm going with this, is Matthew Syed's book, Black Box Thinking. In it, he compares two industries, aviation and healthcare. And where aviation saw mistakes and failures as learning opportunities via their sort of black box flight recordings when disasters did happen. The medical profession had a history of hiding errors, sweeping them under the carpet, and simply not acknowledging them. One stunning statistic, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around this one: the deaths in American healthcare alone occurring due to preventable medical error are the equivalent of 3 747 jumbo jets falling out the sky every 24 hours. Just thinking about that, would we even get on a plane, a flight between our global offices, if we thought that was still the case in aviation? I don't think so, and aviation has created an astonishingly good safety record because mistakes and failures are learned from, rather than concealed. In the book, Matthew Syed posits that failure is rich in learning opportunities for the simple reason, in its many guises, it represents a violation of expectation. Let's think about that. No matter how good our training is, we'll never be able to fully grasp all the subtleties and complexities in the world. And particularly in times of rapid technological advances and ever-changing customer expectations, failure is going to be inevitable. Completeness and accuracy will not always be possible or what we imagined possible. So how can we use that failure as perhaps a signpost for reform? What can we do to make future errors less likely and drive discoveries that will add value to our businesses? So in sort of closing, there's 3 ways I see how failure can add value for us. The first is what I mentioned, the European International. Maybe we just adopt a progressive attitude to failure. Acknowledge mistakes will happen. How many of us have miscalculated a formula in Excel, or perhaps missed it wasn't quite calculating all the cells correctly, or even miscoded an invoice or a journal? What did you do about it? Well, if you're still in accounting and finance, you've probably learned such a mistake to move on, right? And similarly, if you're a leader or a senior member of a team, holding regular sessions with each other where you and your peers kaizen what's happened. So in other words, discuss what's worked well and what could perhaps work better without any fear of reprisal. I mean, it's a great way of figuring out better practice and how to do better next time. I mean, in one case, a business unit I worked with, they used to suffer 10% swings in their quarterly actual to forecast variances. And by holding a couple of these sessions, they actually managed to get those swings down to less than 1% each quarter. And that was just people helping each other out. And finally, if you do feel that your operation is pretty perfect and you're performing pretty well, then hold pre-mortems. Start the meeting on the assumption that your process has failed, the numbers are wrong, reports delayed, executives aren't happy with the insights they're getting to understand the reasons why those events have happened in the first place. Because one thing we do extremely well in finance and accounting is we're very well trained to build better control systems. So why not play to our strengths around compliance, controllership, and not only figuring out how we can do things more right, or it's like being efficient, but even more importantly doing the right things so we're being effective, and in so doing we'll end up adding more value for our businesses. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you do, please check us out at sitnshow.com. Let your friends and colleagues know. You can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud and YouTube. And until next time, let's keep building our strength in the numbers. Take care of yourselves and each other.